Hey there, Dan here. I hate owning games. I don't want to hold them, I don't want to touch them, and I just want to download them straight to my console. Because nothing screams next gen like buying a hunk of plastic that just tells you to go online. Game key cards are essentially a download code, but on a cartridge. But at that point, you might as well buy the game digitally. You put them right in your system and it tells you to download the game. The actual games aren't on the cartridge, which doesn't make a ton of sense. But when you put the game in the system, it does prompt you to download it as if you bought the game digitally. But most of this decision making has made an uproar. Many people are saying that Nintendo are the bad guys for even making game key cards, while others are saying third parties are at fault because they are being too cheap and don't want to shell out the money when they have millions of dollars in the bank. The whole point of having a game on a game card is to make it so you own the game. You can sell it and you don't need the internet to play the game. All you have to do is just put the game card in the system and play it. With game key cards, you're just downloading it. What's the point of buying a Switch 2 game key card game instead of getting it digitally? That's the thing. There is no reason. Everyone hates having to worry about storage on their system. Like even a 256GB micro SD card for the Switch 2 costs almost the same as some games on the original Switch. Nobody likes having to worry about storage, and it gets annoying when you have to figure out which games to delete when you just want to keep them all downloaded. Now, some people might be saying that the Switch 2 already has 256GB of internal storage, which is true. But the thing is that I believe that over time, as graphics get better and more optimized for the Switch 2, more and more people might have to worry about storage if Nintendo doesn't do anything about these game key cards. Plus, in general, there's going to be more and more games people are going to want. Listen, I love owning games physically. It makes it easier to not worry about storage, and if I want, I can sell it at any time. With game key cards, I guess you can sell them. That's the only good thing about them, because if you don't like it, you aren't as sad as if you sell the game for a cheaper price. At first I thought that game keycards might be good for games that are over 64GB. But then I saw Puyo Puyo Tetris on one and was just confused. Soon it came out that Nintendo only offers developers to release their games on 64GB cartridges, which is very annoying considering that most companies don't want to pay $16 only for them to put a 3GB game. That's the thing about Nintendo now. It's like they make everyone else seem like the bad guy when they are. Everyone is just trying to get Nintendo to just sell different size cartridges like they did with the original Switch. On the OG Switch, there were options from 1GB cartridges to 32GB. This is a very easy problem that Nintendo can just fix easily. But they want to make more money, so now everyone is annoyed. But there's another thing that most people are worried about with these game key cards, and that's game preservation. Many years from now, the Switch 2 servers will be down, and nobody can ever buy something from the Switch 2 eShop again. This can mean that many games can get lost to time if never preserved by the developers or even just other people. What makes it even harder now is that Nintendo is making game key cards not even really physical games, and they're really reliant on the internet. Which can just be scary because if you don't want to emulate Switch 2 games or just hack your Switch 2 to get free games, you'll probably not be able to play Switch 2 game keycard games in the future. This can just be saddening because video games are just in a certain way of art. Like when you go to an art gallery, you see preserved art. So we should be keeping and making sure that these games are being kept and not lost to time. But how is that even possible if we had these game keycards? The thing is, though, that companies like Xbox have been doing this since the Xbox One. For example, you'll see games like Call of Duty Black Ops 6 that need an internet connection to download. While yes, the disc does have data on it, it's just like a key to download the data that you need to play the game. The thing is, though, that this has been a problem since these consoles were released, and now it's an uproar because Nintendo's starting to do it. The same people that complain about Switch 2 game keycards and then go on to say this is why PlayStation and Xbox is better than Nintendo is just being a hypocrite or just not being well informed. Because the games, like there's tons of PlayStation games, Xbox games that tell you need an internet connection. Now, I'm not saying that I love Nintendo and think they are right for this decision, but I do dislike it when people hate on the Switch 2 in this unfair way. It doesn't make any sense. And then people compare it to these other companies and say, oh, it's better, when it's not even a fair fight. So then this makes an interesting argument. Are we mad that Nintendo is deciding to do this because it ruins physical media? Or are some people just getting mad at Nintendo even though this has been a thing? Honestly, I'm gonna go with both arguments. I mean, I see why people are mad about some games being game keycards on the Switch 2, because they suck. But those same people say Xbox and PlayStation are better because what is Nintendo doing? But they're doing the same exact thing. Do I think Nintendo is right? Well, I think they were trying to make it seem like they meant good when they kind of aren't. I mean, this means that games over 64 gigabytes can be available in a physical way that's not just a download code in a box. But they also aren't giving many options to developers that don't have a 64 gigabyte game and it's lower than 64 gigabytes and don't want to pay $16 for a card they'll barely need any space for. And that's a huge issue for people such as indie devs. As we know, indie devs don't have an amazing budget like other developers, but they still have to make do with what they got. But the game key cards could really mess up the sales for these people. Nobody really likes game key cards, and if you go to a store and see a game with a game key card, many people, such as myself, are just put off by that and don't want to buy the game, which hurts the people who made the game and can mean that good games will just be swept under the rug and nobody will know about these hidden gems just because of them being on game key cards. Thing is too that these game key cards can be very confusing to the average consumer. If your mom were to walk into the store and wanted to get you a game for your birthday, she'll see all these Switch 2 games and not know which one to get you. So maybe she'll start looking at the box art and see which ones she's seen you like before. And then she sees the little tag on the bottom that says the game is a game key card. She doesn't really know or understand what that means and what's saying on the box. So she's wondering why the game is even different from the other Switch 2 games that don't have it. So then she just decides to give up and maybe get you something else for your birthday. And now you just lost a possible gift and the developers just lost a possible buyer. This can be really confusing to most people. I know when I first heard about these game key cards, I didn't even understand it too well myself. So these just even being a thing can be decreasing to sales on these specific games. I really hope Nintendo decides to make more available game cards with different sizes in the near future, so people don't have to keep complaining about this game key card system. And that's pretty much it. Let me know in the comments whether you think this is a good thing or a bad thing. That's pretty much the end of the video. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I'm trying to get up to 500 subscribers, and I'll see you later. Bye.